time, I'll go ahead and call to order the call meeting of the City Council of Bristol, Virginia for September 22nd, 2020. Two items on the agenda. The first item, supplemental appropriation of $978,324. Staff report.
Council, this is the CARES funding that we have received, and some additional appropriations for that CARES funding. What you have before you tonight is $978,324 in expenditures. $84,695 would be allocated to the police department for artificial defibrillators that the police department can use in the event they need to. According to the American Heart Association, the amount of cardiac arrest calls from March 1 of 2020 to April 25 of 2020 increased threefold from the same period of last year. There would be an additional $80,000 granted to the fire department to remodel their bunk areas to give them separate living quarters for each person. There'd be additional $40,000 for air purifiers that would go to the sheriff's office for the jail. There would be $15,000 allocated for bunks at the jail as well. $49,920 in hazard pay to the police department, and you can see how that breaks down with the FICA. $38,400 hazard pay for the fire department, $45,120 for the sheriff's department, and $19,200 for social services. We would also have a transfer to the school for $394,311, and then there would also be a transfer to the IDA for $200,000 for small business grants, for a total of $978,324.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? I don't think anyone signed up. No comment, and what's the pleasure of council?
I move to approve the supplemental appropriation as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Osborne, a second by Vice Mayor Farnham. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have. The decrease for the small business recovery grants from $100,000, and then an increase.
Councilman
What-
Wingard,
what did you say
that is a separate item. That's a budget transfer that I'll cover in just one second.
Okay.
That is separate from the supplemental appropriation.
Okay.
So this dollar amount is 100% federal CARES Act money that we received.
Yes, sir.
We still have remaining funds that need to be allocated and spent by.
A small balance of approximately 100,000. These monies have to be expended by December 30th. So it's imperative that the city go ahead and allocate and begin that plan. Of course, we revisit weekly where we are on the status of those, so that if some projects come in under budget, we will allocate those funds as well.
Any more questions or discussion? All right. If there's no more discussion, then clerk, please call the roll.
Farnham.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
No.
Hartley.
Yes. Okay, item number 2 is a budget transfer, CARES Act COVID-19 fund. Staff report.
Mayor and members of council, this is a budget transfer of previously approved COVID-19 Fund 35 CARES monies. It was originally allocated to community development, 81010 for small business recovery grants. And the AIS item is to decrease, the budget transfers to decrease it from that line item and increase transfer to the IDA based on discussions Mr. Eads and myself have had with our colleagues across the state. We feel like small business grants need to run through the IDA, not directly from the city's books. The intent of the disbursement of the funds is the same as originally appropriated, just changing the line item.
Thank you, Mr. Bradlin. Any public comments? Don't think anyone signed up, so what's the pleasure of council?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Osborne, a second by Vice Mayor Farnum. Council discussion, I think you had a
Yeah,
question.
once again, let me try this again. Originally, we had $200,000 for the small business grants.
Okay, we had 100,000 originally, and the 100,000 we allocated to community development. And what we're not increasing, or what we've done is we're still taking that 100,000 that was allocated towards community development, transferring that over to the IDA based on conversations that Ms. Bradlin and I have had with colleagues throughout the Commonwealth as to how they're dispersing those funds. There's an additional 200,000 that was just approved, so it's going to be 300,000 total going out to small business owners here in the city, and that's small businesses with 10 or fewer employees. And I think the current count right now, we've had roughly 248,000. I don't know what the number is today, of requests for small business grants to help them with the recovery due to COVID-19.
And with this 300,000, it takes about 10% of our overall money and gets it out in the form of grants to small businesses.
That was going to be my question, not so much about the transfer, but about what kind of interest have we had from businesses applying for these funds?
We've had what I would call a good amount of interest. I would like for businesses to continue to apply. Businesses with 10 or fewer people can apply now through September 30th, and depending on the request, we may be able to expand that after September 30th to larger businesses.
Any more questions?
So this is just a transfer. That money's already been allocated. We're not asking to do anything other than just make a line item transfer from community development to IDA.
So we're talking line item 2 is just this $300,000 in play.
The total is 300,000.
Total 300,000. Okay.
The 200,000 that council just approved 3-1 was appropriated directly to the transfer to the IDA. So
Right.
it doesn't have to be moved.
So it's just to move what we did back
Previously.
yeah.
Right.
I have one question. After it's moved to the IDA line item, so will the IDA then have a hand in approving the grants out to the businesses?
There will be 2 members of the IDA who will review, along with a couple of city staff members who will review the applications, make sure they conform with the requirements of CARES. After they make their recommendations, Mr. Phillips in the Finance Department will then review those applications to make sure that they still conform with the requirement of CARES, and then the IDA will move to approve those at one of their meetings.
Will they approve them en masse, or will they have to go on each application?
We will probably approve those in mass.
Okay.
Do you think you could, potentially, I guess, at their next meeting in October?
That will probably be pushing it pretty close. They'll probably have to have a called meeting for that, simply because the first meeting in October is October 12th, which is Columbus Day, so we've moved the IDA meeting to the first Monday, which is October 5th. The applications close on September 30th, so there may not be enough time to review.
Okay, I know one,
We want to get
timing
it out. We want it out of our hands as quickly as the businesses
Yeah.
want it.
Well, and timing is of the essence too with the CARES funding, so that's great. All right, anything else, any questions, discussion? All right, clerk, call the roll.
Farnum.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Wingard.
Yes.
Hartley.
Yes. All right, no further business, we stand adjourned.